We're
Ooh.
definitely live. I can see our pretty faces. I can see our couch. I
All
can see
right,
our
cool.
couch from here.
So, welcome back to this giant blue transatlantic couch. Uh, we're having a lot of very pro issues tonight, everybody. Let's all ignore. I'd laugh about all of it. So, I'm Drew Tillman, and who else is with me? As
I'm
always?
Volana.
Yeah.
I'm volley. I'm always volley. Or you, or mate, or hey, or blood. I don't know. Today I'm just gonna be volley. Let's go with that one.
And we're going to talk about episode 3 of Lost in Space, or as I'm going to call it, episode 3. Oh my god, please stop.
Oh my god, please stop.
Please stop being all the people.
Yeah, so you like I think yesterday, day before, you're like, oh yeah, I've watched it and I have opinions. I'm like, I still haven't watched it yet. Let's go with yours because you had some. It sounded like you had some profound thoughts on
I
this.
I have
First
some
impressions, Drew.
thoughts. All right, first impressions on this is the series has gotten better based on the first 2 episodes. I'm going to say that right now, but I'm also going to say that I am just so tired of some of these character tropes they're playing with Dr. Smith. Although I will stay out of the spoilers for a second. Some of the things that they do, it's so tropey, and I'm like, please don't do that thing. It's so old, but they just do it.
There's like, okay, so it's great. Spoilers. Like the like
What is your general opinion first? You can't just spoil things first.
you had a point, and okay, fine. All right, I'll do my first opinions first. I got really tired in this episode. It may have had to do something with the fact I just woke up, but the first half of this episode for me was just like, and then I realized it's become an action. I'm like, oh, okay, it's an action thing. Fine, cool. I'll go with it.
Right.
It was just no sci-fi at all in
No,
this.
not at all. Not at all.
At all.
They really
So I
just
was like, oh, it's just an action episode. All right, okay. Now I know where I'm at. Fine, that's cool.
Agreed.
Now can I go into the thing?
Yeah, now you can go into your
Okay,
spoilers.
Spoilers. So like the biggest tropey bit for me was there's a bit where the dad is like finally in control of the situation. He's about to be like the hero, and then stall. Oh, now we can go.
Yeah. Had to hold on just because, and they've done that multiple times now.
Have, yeah.
The biggest one that pops to mind is the chariot in episode 2, where it's like, oh, the chariot's gonna solve all of our problems. Dun, 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 dun. Oh no, never mind. Like, could you stop with that trope? Like,
Yeah.
just a little bit, please. Like, don't do that anymore. So I actually have some notes. I didn't take as many for this one because I just had more feelings about it than I had like actual
Yeah.
note things. But my
Yeah.
first note is that we finally get some opening credits, and it just feels like they forgot the opening credits in the first 2 episodes.
Oh, I didn't just miss that. That was okay. So
Nope,
I
they're
thought
just not
this was,
there.
like, I thought like the opening credits had been there for one, and I just spaced them or something. I just completely missed them. This journey, okay, good, because I was about to say it's like I thought this is the first time I've seen them.
It is.
Then I did skip through a lot of the like the recappy bullshitty stuff.
Yeah.
It.
No.
Now screw that.
They just like for the first episode I'm fine with leaving it out because he gets immediately into the action and there's like, oh, there's all this cool setup and it's really neat. The second episode they skip them and I was like, oh, cool, this show just doesn't have opening credits. It just gets right into
Yeah,
an event
cool.
at hand, which is really cool. Third episode, here's some opening credits. It just feels like you forgot them the last 2 times now.
Well, for me, it reminded me like I don't know. It's just the opening credits are basically just them scanning through different pictures of people watching people go into space and moon landings and making rockets and stuff. It's like this is like a really dodgy home movie that someone's put together for like this is your life, or like the first like 10 years of it or something. It's like like
just-
if they have a budget to make an alien look that friggin' cool, why would you not put some half decent efforts into like the opening credits? I mean,
Yeah.
the opening credits. Just do it. If you're gonna do them well. And this
Oh,
was just
I agree. Not only that, it's called Lost in Space, not The Space Race. Like, let's get some Lost images in there. That's just a fake nitpicky thing. That's not real. Anyone can do whatever they want. I just had to make fun of something.
as great as we know it's hard to make stuff, but still.
Yeah. So, further spoilers, we now know why Dr. Smith is here. Like, how she got onto the Resolute.
Yeah.
which is a cool story. It's kind of I enjoyed that. Um, it it was interesting. I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense with the way she's been acting.
Yeah, it's good to see that they use the flashback mechanic again in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think they missed it in the last one. Like, I can see where I didn't fit in. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see, and yeah, it's like my favorite bit of like the because you have the credits and you go straight into this like this kind of flashback as to why Dr. Smith is why she's here. She's like, I want to know. Oh no, sweet. Um, it's the fact that she and the woman she's opposite are so polar different. And my favorite thing about that thing is that even visually, it's very different. When you're looking at the other character, you can see bright light behind her because she's in front of a window. She's surrounded by all this decadence of like food and drink, and she looks well kept. She looks very well.
Yeah.
And then you switch across to Dr. Smith's side, and she's disheveled. She's covered in crap. She looks terrible. There's nothing on her side. It's just a sofa, and there's no natural light behind her. There's not even, I think, any natural light falling on her face. And I think that'd be a stylistic thing than an actual thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
there's just the images of those two opposite each other were just spot on awesome. But my actual favorite thing about that is, and spoilers, is when she is basically crying at the other character. Like, I could live in this place. I could do this thing with this car. I could have this. I could be you. And you see tears going down her face.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one realizes, oh, oh, you've done something dodgy because you're an asshole.
Yep.
And she does, and Dr. Smith does a thing where she does a single tear remove, and her face goes completely cold. And removing a tear one at a time is actually a sign of a psychopath. So I'm like, ha, yes! I'm so happy to see that.
She's definitely super crazy. Although I do want to comment on the very well-timed poison that she had. Like, it was perfectly timed for the script.
It's this rare poison known as plot.
Plot poison, yes.
Plot poison.
Which, I mean, that's not like a terrible thing. It was not uncommon. Like, as soon as I saw this scene, I was like, okay, she's gonna do something, and it's gonna be at an opportune moment. Oh, she poisoned her, and the poison just starts to take effect right at the end. Although, I guess poison's the wrong term, because she definitely is not dead when she leaves.
A sedative.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. We'll go with sedative, because I mean, that's actually what it is.
Yeah, because we see at the very end that she's taken the place of this other person. And we see the person that she's taken like bound and gagged, like sitting inside the hall of her house or something.
Yep.
And that's how we find out how Dr. Smith gets onto where they are, which is, I thought was really cool.
I agree.
It's to see, and it didn't paint it as a, like some people try to do, like inverted commas, like humanize, make you feel sorry for the villain.
Yep.
Because I'm assuming now, even though you spoiled it for me, that she's the villain. She doesn't have that there. That cold psychopathic moment for me was like, yes, it's genuinely an asshole. I love it. So yeah, I'm excited to see that. I really am.
I agree. I want to know more about her backstory, and I'm sure we're going to get it.
I hope so.
I
hope this isn't her only episode, because
yeah. Which actually, I kind of want to follow that through line for a minute and just kind of go through the main points of what you see with her through the episode.
Yeah, sure.
Like later, you see her on the Resolute going through security, and some guy chases her down because apparently he's been having an affair with her sister, who she's taking the place for. Which, that's just a mess. Like, that's just a terrible mess to find yourself in. And then I think I missed something, but somehow gets him into an airlock.
Oh, yes, like they fall over and his security pass, or her fake security pass, opens the airlock and he falls in. She gets up and like closes, the door closes behind them. I missed that bit too. The action was a little bit too fast for me, but I was saying at that point I was kind of tired, so I don't remember all the small details.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, and then he's in the airlock, and then like the timer counts down, like 10, 9, etc., etc.
Yeah, and also that's a terrible safety feature. You open an airlock and it immediately is just like, well, whatever's in here, I'm going to kick out in like 10 seconds. What? Why?
I think they clearly must have activated something, right?
They must have. Yeah, no, it would
also,
be.
for me, it's like, would there not, like, if they have like all these like protocol things, like these, because I think we pick up from when she takes out her sister that there's a little like chip embedded in their arm.
Yeah.
So And that for me, I'm gonna get that because that is, I think, the only sci-fi thing in this episode that I loved. That they have these little chips, and like clearly, whatever it is must be tracking them. They must be using them to like wave entrances over doors, etc., etc. All this good stuff. How would it not pick up that there was a person in the airlock, and the safety protocols not go, there's a person in the airlock, venting them is a good idea? It wouldn't do that.
Right, and also apparently these chips they have in them that control everything they do on the Resolute and give them security clearance and all this other stuff have to be within about an inch of a scanner before it reads it, which, okay, fine, but come on. It's sci-fi. Just be like, yeah, we have a thing tracking you at all times and whatever. It doesn't matter.
All right, yeah. So, like, the chip of the future, right? I love the fact that this chip is in their forearm. It's not in the hand. It's not in, like, a thumb. It's none of that crap. It's in the forearm. So, to me, like, this is a conversation I have with my other half. Like, if currency goes the way of the dinosaur, like, like money and coins and stuff, and, like, all you need is, like, this kind of, like, wireless contact stuff, it should just be in your arm, and it should just have everything, like, everything you can do, like you are licensed to in the UK, own a TV, that kind of stuff, like have a gun, drive a car. You should just, like, everything should be hold on a tiny little chip, and it should be in your forearm. And the reason I think it should be in your forearm is because if it's in your hands, it does fingerprints and stuff. You can chop a person's hand off and hide it. Chopping someone's entire arm off is a lot harder to hide.
This is true. You would have a much harder time.
Yep.
Of cutting off someone's whole arm.
Yeah, whereas, like, putting it in their forearm is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Of course, in theory, you could have it anywhere, but I think, like, getting your leg up onto the scanner may be a little bit more difficult than just using your wrist. So.
Well, that's, yeah. You just have, like, butt scanners. It's fine. It's
God.
perfectly normal.
He's like, well, we've been doing photocopiers for years, so why not?
There you go.
Anyway, that is the only sci-fi thing I liked, was that idea of that chip, where it was placed and what it did. That, for me,
agreed.
like, the coolest thing that they had. Sci-fi wise in this episode.
And then I don't want to follow her to the end because I actually want to leave that part till we actually reach the end of the episode.
Oh yeah.
But I really liked how, like, you get to see her on the thing, and you get to see how she gets caught immediately and then gets out of it basically just through sheer opportunity and luck.
Yeah. Anyway, so we were talking about Dr. Smith being shady as fuck.
Yes, we were.
Like when we go back planet side and they're dealing with all their shit. So Dr. Smith is doing this really weird thing where she's observing the family. Yeah. And the family decide for whatever reason they need to take a break, which is fair. And she does this weird thing where she goes around to all the kids who are unconscious. The two kids, I want to say Judy, but that's not right. Penny. Penny. Yes, I may eventually remember her name. Penny and Will, when they're asleep, and, like, looks through their quarters while they're asleep. Does that really weird thing where and it's just like, what the fuck is this?
Right?
Like,
yeah. Why don't they not have locks on their doors or lock the doors?
Yeah, I mean, like, even I think Will's room, like, either has a door or it's just never closed, because it's just, even when she goes around a bit later on at the very end of the episode, the very, very end, and she sees what she sees, like, why would that not? Okay.
Yeah, have a door. Come on, everyone needs some privacy from time to time. It's just, like, a good idea to have privacy on a ship with your family. No, I don't want to see my family all the time. I love my family, but I want to be able to go into my room and shut the door and live my life for, like, 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
I want to have some moment, but, like, back over here. Yeah. So she's doing, and I think she's beginning to, like, I think you're seeing the cogs turning in her head, assessing who they are and how best to manipulate them, I think is the word I want to choose.
Yeah, I feel like that's what she was doing at time.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But yeah, so they eventually want to get out of the ice, which is great, and they decide to rest through the rest of the storm. Yes.
Correct, yeah.
I had to think about how I said that sentence.
No, that was perfect.
So then they get up because that's when the ice starts falling. Yeah, so they wake up and they're like, "Oh my god, we have to get out of here quickly. Let's fire up the engines." Oh, the engines don't work because of particulate from the storm. So we have to clean the engines. Oh no, we're losing fuel because no one knows why.
All right, let's do the losing the fuel thing, right? So
yes,
like the dad comes in and says, or the daughter, I don't remember which. I think it's the dad comes and says, "Oh, we have a problem. We're losing fuel." So they go and they see it slowly ticking down. So that's the timer on this episode. The timer on the episode before was the incoming storm. The timer on the very first episode was Judy in the
almost
ice.
dying. Yeah, there's always a timer.
There's a timer. The timer in this episode is the fuel, and it's a literal number this time. It's not like a abstract idea. There is a literal number that you see counting down, and it even does that stupid thing where it temporarily goes up again.
Oh yeah, because it's got to go up a little. Yeah,
and then it crashes back down again. So we have a literal timer. It's the fuel going out, and it's these kind of. All right, I have to say it because it was the first thing that struck me, right? So the dad and Judy go down to examine what's going on with the fuel. Maybe they sprung a leak, maybe there's something else going on, and they go down into what they call the basement. And I don't know about you, but I immediately got vibes of Alien, just straight.
100%. Yeah, just a weird dark corridor with pipes and weird nooks and crannies and things. Yeah, no, that was 100% Alien.
It was just like from the moment it was like it's Alien. Like as soon as I saw it, I'm like, there's gonna be something in the water. I don't know what kind of thing it'll be in the water, but it will be in the water, and it's probably going to start like trying to attack them or something, and that's going to be the problem with the engines, or that's going to be the problem between them and the fuel tank, rather.
Yes.
And then like the dad goes through, Judy stays behind, and I'll get to Judy in a minute because that's the whole thing we need to talk about.
100%,
like the dad goes through, and you see that kind of like cliche thing of he's going up the ladder out of the water, and you see something rippling behind him. I'm like, oh man,
something's chasing him. There's something in the water. Because there's got to be something in the water.
There has to be something. So why else would it be there?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, immediately I just got alien vibe. I was like, okay, this is gonna be an alien thing. This is gonna be kind of cool. I was like, I gave it a fair shot.
Yeah. Which then we find out after some random plot rigmarole nonsense where they just kind of wander around and do nothing for 5 minutes that the reason the fuel is disappearing is because they're infested with what I'm going to call butt eels.
Excuse me?
They're butt eels.
Butt eels. Are they like butt with 2 T's or butt with 1 T?
With 2 T's.
Okay.
Because they love to eat methane. I guess I should call them fart eels, but butt eels just sounded funnier in my head.
But farting is the expulsion of methane, not...
You're right.
The absorption.
So yeah, they like to eat methane, which then you find out that the liquid fuel that the Jupiter 2 carries is methane based.
Yeah.
And apparently they have no way to make any more, because why would you have a way to make fuel that's easily obtainable in a ship that will be your entire lifeline when you're going to a place that doesn't have any sort of infrastructure set up, except for what they've set up over the last 3 years? Couldn't be a problem at all. I don't see any sort of problem arising from that at all.
Yeah, that's true. You would expect. I mean, they mentioned that they have reserves. They have the engine and a reserve engine. So there's that going on. And sorry, my other half just turned up, and the dog is getting funny. Hang on.
Oh. Well,
I love you, but we're streaming, so you need to take your drunk ass back to bed. I love you. You can have a kiss, however. Really
look at that. Everyone, we're seeing a kiss. Oh, okay, look at that.
I'll see you in the morning. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we have this fuel tank. We have the reserve fuel tank, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's all they have. Would they not have? I mean, you would expect. I mean, these are only supposed to be the little pods that are supposed to be where they are going to set up or where their things are temporarily. And with the Resolute being in orbit, you would expect them to have a bunch of fuel so they could go back and forth and refuel there. So that's what I'd expect, that they wouldn't have a lot of fuel on them.
Okay, I buy that, yeah.
Yeah, and if they're landing in a colony where they have begun to set something up, then you would assume that something there would be able to make the fuel. Wouldn't necessarily have it on their little pod.
Well, I mean, I'd assume they wouldn't have it on the pod, but I would feel like there's got to be some way to make more fuel.
Yeah, I fully expect episode. What episode are we on? 3?
3. Yeah, we just watched 3.
I fully expect episode 6 or 7 they'll begin to make fuel.
All right,
that's my prediction.
I could see that, and I will wait to see that actually happen.
Because spoiler alert, the creatures are eating all the fuel. They dump the fuel from a brilliant idea. Like, okay, that's cool. I like that.
That was a good idea.
Fuel, and they run on fumes, and at the very end of the episode, they're no longer in the ice, but they have no fuel.
That's true. They have no fuel, but they're out, and they got comms at the very end. That's a spoiler for the very end. They have their comms channels back.
Boop, 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 boop.
which
good.
is great.
Yeah, level up. Cost of fuel, but level up. We'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that, and that's obviously going to be a problem for them because if they want to get back to the Resolute, they have no fuel.
They have nothing. But I will say, this episode, I mean, we basically have told you the plot of the whole episode. Not that a lot didn't happen, because, I mean, it was a full hour. But it's just like the things that happened were very contained. They were very...
Yeah.
We have a very, very narrow focus in this episode of there are eels eating our fuel, we have to get out of the ice before we die. That's it. I mean, those were the big things. There was, like, some subplots of Dr. Smith, where she came from and what she did, and Judy, which I actually do want to talk about, and I know you wanted to talk about as well.
Absolutely. We'll do Judy now because I had one more thing on the worms.
Oh, go ahead and talk about the
Sorry,
worms.
on the butt worms. Oh
Yes.
my god.
I called them butt eels.
Butt eels. I'm not sure I can get on board with that. Okay, so the butt eels, right? My like, there's through machinations, the father has to go back down to the water, and we see him get dragged under by something.
Oh no.
Oh no! It's like the whole alien things are dragged under, and then the next shot we see like the mum and I think it's Penny having a conversation, and suddenly like this eel drops from nowhere. You're like, oh fuck! The eel almost genuinely looks like a slightly reskinned version of the wormy alien.
It does. It actually does. Yeah.
Thank you. Like the face is a little bit more like cone.
The face looks a little more like a moray eel, but
Yes,
I definitely know what you're talking about. With the kind of looks like the xenomorph.
It kind of really does. And then we see this thrown on the ground, and naturally the girls do the thing.
Of course,
because
yeah.
that's what they do. Like,
Yeah.
please don't do this to me. And then you see the dad looking like a fucking hero. I think he's just holding his knife at that point.
Yeah, he's just holding a knife that I'm not sure where he got it. I'm not complaining he has it. I just don't know where he got it.
I think it's probably like his boot knife or whatever.
Probably.
Supposed to be like, you know, the ex-marine or ex-special forces or whatever. You would expect him like in a survival situation to be carrying some sort of weapon.
This
and
is his fucking
he
knife.
genuinely does look like a hero at this moment. It's just
yeah.
like
He's like,
like
covered
80
in water and whatever else might be down there, and just holding a knife and panting.
Yeah. It's like it was such a setup shot, but I liked it. I loved it. It was just like
No,
yeah.
it was so good. It was really good.
Like his entire stick this entire episode was dealing with Judy, which was good.
And in a good way, dealing with Judy, not
A
just
very
being
good
like,
way, yeah.
Get over it.
And then just like killing a big bunch of worms because he's like, I need to buy more time. What do I do? I'm gonna go worm hunting.
And he goes fights a bunch of worms in the water, which, yes, I loved it.
Fucking hero, because yeah, he showed them to be slightly dangerous when he's trying to talk to Judy and the wife Maureen. But at the same time, he was kicking the shit out of stuff. I'm like, I actually have a bit of respect for that because he's doing what he would be doing in this situation, which is just protecting the family, just buying time and putting his life on the line, killing these goddamn worms. It's just so good.
It was a really fucking good scene of him just being like, yeah, no, this isn't a problem, but they are dangerous, but I've got it because I'm ex-special forces.
Yeah, he's actually doing what he's supposed to do. He doesn't wimp out about it. He doesn't.
Okay.
Big deal. Just gets on with it. Okay, we have to do the Judy thing now because that links very well with the dad in this episode.
Do you want to start, or would you like?
No, you go for it. You go for it.
So when this all starts and they go down into the basement where there is waist-deep water, I guess Spencer didn't get down here to clean up.
His batteries ran out.
Yeah, he's so tired. They go down there and Judy climbs down the ladder, but she just like hangs on it and she won't get in the water. And she like asks the dad, and she's like, "Dad, is it safe?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's safe." But he obviously understands what she went through, being that he has been in combat situations, in life and death situations. He's like, "Yeah, no, it's safe. I mean, you're fine. Like, you can handle this." But he's like, "But you don't have to come down here. Like, you can just go, and that's fine. I can handle this."
Yeah, I mean, the dad. I'm never going to remember his name. It's probably John.
It's John. You literally hit it the first time.
Yes. Common name. We'll pick one. John. So like John, at the very beginning of this episode, or almost at the very beginning of this episode, is talking to the wife, and they're like, "Oh shit, we need to get out of here." And she's like, "I need Judy up here to do a thing." And he's like, "Do you not understand what she just went through? That's gonna F with her." And the mother was like, "Yeah, but we don't have time to deal with it. It's unstable around here." He's like, "But so is your daughter." Like, coming from the guy who is, this is a bit of a flip from like some of the episodes before, I think, or some of the feelings you get from before, which is the idea that he's supposed to be this soldier that is very like focused on doing a thing, and the mum is also very focused, but like it's her family unit. But in this episode, you see that very kind of like different way of approaching of like, yes, he is a consummate soldier, but he also cares very deeply for his family. He doesn't see them as tools. He doesn't see them as parts of a machine or parts of a team to get a specific task done. He goes, this person is a person, they can't handle this. They don't have to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
We can do without it. So let's go around it. And the mum was like, nah, that'll be fine. She'll get over it.
Exactly.
She has no idea how to deal with this.
Which I really like, because as a if he was a good soldier and a good leader, then he would be like, yeah, your mental state is going to affect what you can do, and if you don't believe that you're capable of accomplishing this task, it's not going to go. But the mom's just like, yeah, Judy's going to be fine. She'll get through what she always does, blah, 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 blah. And just kind of like steamrolls Judy's feelings and just like tells her how to like, what to do, which is clearly not the right response in this case.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they both know that she'll get through it, but one of them understands it's going to be a difficult process. The other one just assumes it's going to happen.
Exactly. So yeah, she doesn't go down there because at the time when they're down there, something happens and they both have to run back upstairs.
Oh yeah, they get summoned by the mother.
Yeah, yes.
To go do a thing.
Exactly. And so they go down there, and he like has this argument with the wife, and Judy's freaking out, and then Will gets trapped in a supply closet by Spencer because there were worms, and he won't let him out. And which I love this plot device of the socket wrench is in the supply closet.
Of course, yeah.
Not seemingly in a better place, which would be in the hold with the chariot. It's in a supply closet with food and rations.
Oh, yeah. Let's do this plot device before we continue with Judy, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, storeroom is filled with food, random ass supplies, and at this point in time, when Spencer goes, oh shit, Will's in danger, there's a bunch of worms on the ship, shuts him in this cupboard with Dr. Smith.
Dr. Smith.
I loved that plot device for a couple of reasons. One, it got Dr. Smith in a terrible situation where she's like, basically like, oh shit, we need to leave. Let's get my shit and go. Locks her in with Will. So we literally have the two most useless characters in this situation locked in a cupboard where they can't affect the rest of the plot.
This is true. It's great because it's like, you two were just getting in the way. Let's just put you over here and you can have a pseudo intellectual conversation or whatever you're going to do. Yeah. It doesn't affect the rest of us.
It's like it's like that was literally like the B story in this, was those two having an interaction. I mean, there were a bunch of different B stories here, but that was one. And it just made me smile as soon as the same going there, because it was like 10 or 15 minutes later, I realized how clever that device was. Like, oh, there's a robot. We don't want him to do anything or save the day because this is not going to be about him. We don't want Will in this because he's actually kind of useless at this point and we've got nothing for him to do. And we don't want Dr. Smith here right now because, well, basically she's trying to leave. So
let's just trap in a
cupboard and pretend nothing ever happened and walk away.
That's exactly what they do. They just walk away. But
like, we're safe. Leave him. It's fine.
Oh, of course. Which I only brought that up because the dad needs to get the socket wrench from the supply closet, and the robot won't let him in, and he won't let Will out.
Yep.
So the dad's like, hey, Judy, go print me a socket wrench because blah, blah, blah. I need it for something. And Judy's like, yeah, but Mom says we only have 10 minutes of fuel left. And he's like, just go do the thing. Which I appreciate because she's like trying to be logical, and he's like, yeah, but you obviously don't want to go downstairs into the creepy basement. Go do the thing where you don't have to do that. Yeah,
and I think she quite very gratefully takes that out.
She does after she like raises like, a
minor objection.
Minor objection of just being like, but Mom said this, and he's just like, go do the thing. I'll take care of the rest of it.
Yeah. So she goes off and does the printing thing, and then there is another big shift in the ice, something weird. I don't know, big shift in the ice, and she ends up getting trapped. And I love this scene so much. I mean, it's broken into a series of little scenes, but just like taking that bit where she's trapped as a whole, I love that scene so much.
Oh, 100%.
She's basically trapped in place by these two big ginormous supply boxes. There's another like piece of like, I think like structural thing between her and it, so she can't get out.
It's like two supply boxes that are stacked on top of each other with they're on like a wheelie thing or a foot pad or something that has a joist, so they're all like latched together, so they're one big piece rather than just two supply boxes flopping around.
So she can't get out. She's trapped. She's trapped in the place where literally the box is right in front of her face and she can't move. And it is very, very reminiscent of her being stuck in the ice.
Yes.
And she panics. She's like, shit. And then you hear her screaming for her dad, which is, I thought was a great thing. Like, not screaming for her mum, she screams for her dad.
Yep.
It's the one person that she knows could understand it. And she gets stuck there. And what I love
not only is it the one person who understands it, but it's also the person that she puts faith in to save her from a actual life and death situation.
Yes.
Which means that while she respects her mother, she doesn't necessarily think her mom's going to be able to get her out of an actual dangerous situation.
Yeah, there's a difference between being able to plan and structure and do all the things to get you from A to B.
Yep.
But in the heat of the moment, the person you need in the heat of the moment is not necessarily the person you want planning the rest of like the experience of like getting you safely from A to B.
Yeah.
The person who stands in front of like of the alien shooting the gun is a very different person. And I love the fact that there is that dynamic between the two parents. They have two different, very, very different strengths. And that came up very well in that moment, which I loved and adored. So she's stuck there. She's stuck under the boxes and she's panicking. She realizes that no one's getting to her. She can't move. And then plot device, because I didn't see it coming and I'm normally very good at seeing it coming. And I was like, well played. The print finishes on the socket wrench.
Yep.
And it just so happens, which actually is an engineering thing. I'll bet in a minute. It just so happens is the same size that she needs to undo this joist thing that's holding all these boxes together. And what I like is that she frees herself. Her dad doesn't do it. Her mum doesn't do it. Her brother, her sister, not that fucking freaky ass robot.
Yep.
No hand of God moment other than the fact the right tool is there. And she didn't have to reach for it.
Nope.
I mean, being that terrified, she was barely moving much at all. She was panicking and she saw it. She freed herself. She kicked this shit over and was like, yeah, I got this.
It was that moment of a character recovering their own agency and power, which was so cool. And that's exactly what I wanted to see.
Yes.
I feel like, and this is me, I feel like it came a little too soon, but that's just me. I really like the fact that it was her recovering her own power in the show and not just being like, a couple episodes later, it's just like, whatever, nothing bad happened, you're fine.
Yeah, I think that they're probably still going to carry that little bit of claustrophobia over. I don't think that's ever really going to go. But the fact that it wasn't a hand of God moment, it wasn't somebody giving her words of advice. This was her on her own, saving her own ass. And that was just what really made that scene for me.
Exactly.
And the actress, whomever she is, played it so freaking well. It was so good. I was so happy with that scene. It just, I don't know, that was like the shining point of this episode for me, was that one scene. The rest of it, I could definitely give or take, but that was the one bit for me. I love that bit so much.
Also, so let's talk about some more random B plots in this thing, because there were like 8.
Oh my god, they were fucking everywhere.
So another one is that when Will and Dr. Smith get trapped in the supply closet, Dr. Smith is like, oh, if you're so connected to the robot, maybe the robot knows you don't want to go out there because you're scared. And it's like, okay, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's actually what's happening here, which I'm not going to denounce that or say it's bad or anything. But they devoted a lot of time to really like coming back to that theory over and over again, to the point that that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the
like,
fact
they
it's
really
been hammered over.
Yeah, they just beat it into your head. They're like, Will's scared, so the robot's like, danger, let's protect Will. So at some point Will's going to be scared, but decide that he has to save his family, and then the robot's going to help.
Yeah. I don't know much. I mean, this is me again falling back on that. Maybe an 8-year-old designed this plot for the robot. Like, hey, I want a cool robot because I know I physically can't do the thing. Of like, it's attached to his emotions, and we get that. To be fair, we do get that link between them again because Will ends up having some nightmares or some such.
Yep. Which are just it's a repeat of the thing they saw in episode 2.
Yeah. So there's that interesting little thing there. But of course they have this discussion between Smith and Will about the robot is linked to his emotions. Maybe that's what the robot is picking up. But it ends up being that Will still has to tell the robot to let Smith out the room. Like, still has to use the words to do that.
Yeah.
It's just an odd concept. That it's the one thing, it's the other. But the thing I really liked in that little kind of like, we need to make these two have some sort of plot because we know we're paying the actors, so we should probably get something out of them. Is that Smith has a conversation about the idea of self-preservation and that it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's how you survive, and that's very much her. And of course the boy like being like, the mini hero, like, yay, I'm all purity and awesomeness. No, it's about saving my family. Blah, 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 blah. I just felt that so much in that scene. I'm like, oh man. But I like the fact that she was blatantly honest about the survivor's instinct in this. Like, you have to survive. I mean, that's what drives people. That's what drives her, and that is very clear in this episode. And she's basically in here stealing a bunch of supplies, I believe, with the idea of stealing a chariot.
Yeah, I think she was going to steal the chariot and leave.
Yeah, because as like Smith is taken on, like she's taken under the wing of the mother Maureen for a little bit, as she admits that she has no training in emergencies because she's a different type of doctor. Yada yada. And
that
when
excuse will only last so long before it's exactly. Like you've run out of types of doctors there are.
Yeah, I think she says she's a family psychologist or something like that.
I think she said something like that.
Yeah, she's like so I've locked into an engineer and a soldier. Woo! And I just happen to be what you need right now, which is a family council of sorts. I'm like, woohoo! Great, awesome. So yeah, she's taken under the wing of Maureen for a little bit, and she ends up like coming to the discussion of the chariot can only really support 1 or 2 people outside. They wouldn't take all 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
5 of them in the robot. Whatever.
Yeah, 5 in the robot.
5 in Spencer. So she's like, okay, well, I'm just going to steal it and leave then. And you see that, and then she gets trapped in the closet. And eventually she gets out. Will speaks to the robot and says, look, you don't care about her, but you care about me, so let her out. I think that's a discussion that's had. And she goes out, she grabs a bunch of stuff, and she goes in the chariot.
No, she doesn't go in the chariot. She goes to the cockpit because she's going to eject herself up through a chasm.
Oh, she is? I thought...
Okay, yeah, she never went to the chariot. I don't know why she didn't actually go to... Oh, it's because when she finally got out, they were already trapped in the ice. So she went to the cockpit to use the ejector seat.
Ah.
Which then you see a moment of her humanity or something, because the mom is trying to get the last piece of the engines back together, and she can't. And then all of a sudden, Dr. Smith runs in and like helps her shove it in so it locks in place, and they can fire up the engines. But she was going to straight up just like fucking abandon them, like bye.
Yeah, she was gonna straight like bye Felicia this shit. Just
which I don't think would have worked out in her favor, because the way they were sitting, I'm pretty sure that ejector seat would have gone up, hit a rock, and she would have died instantly.
I think that's like, you saw humanity. I think I saw panic. I think she like the moment of like, should I go back and help them? I think that was more of a calculated thing than not like, honestly, I'm out there on my own. I think I'm going to be in trouble, and if I look up, I'm probably going to hit a rock.
I think you could. I think the whole point is you can take it either way, because based on what the writers are going to do in the future, they're either going to use that as a point of being like, see, she's just a human and she wants to feel loved and have a place, or they're going to be like, yeah, she's cold-hearted and she doesn't care about anybody except for herself.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that we both we took one each on that one.
Yeah. So then another B plot in this whole thing is that somebody has used the 3D printer to print an unknown object, and no one knows what it is. And Maureen, which is what I've dubbed her in my notes, Maureen, immediately goes and blames the dad for doing something. And he's like, I tried to do it, but it wouldn't let me, so I couldn't print the thing that you definitely think I've printed. And then she asks Dr. Smith, and nobody seems to at any point think there were 2 people in that whole ship that I'm like could get past the firewall, because they talk about there's a whole firewall where you can't print weapons. There are 2 people I could think of: Judy and the robot.
Yes.
And not one person went, "Hey Judy, did you print a dangerous weapon in the 3D printer?" And not one person went, "Hey robot, what the fuck?" Which
I have a side theory on why the robot wasn't doing what it was told, because they haven't asked his name. They've fallen into the old role-playing adjectives of not asking anyone's name.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's the problem.
They
never found out his name is Spencer.
That's what it is, definitely.
So yeah, they don't ask either of them this. This is just weird. Why wouldn't you have... I mean, to be fair, they're bigger fish to fry.
No, agreed. But they do find, let's say, this is not an actual time, but let's say 2 solid minutes for Maureen to interrogate John about whether or not he printed a gun. And it's like, you're about to get crushed by ice. Is this really the best time for that?
Yeah, and also, they are stuck on a planet with very little supplies. They don't know what's going on. There are clearly creatures attacking them. Actually, at this point, I don't think they know that. Actually, I'll take that back.
No, they haven't
Either
seen the
way,
eels yet when they have the
yeah,
conversation.
but I think my point still stands of like there could be creatures here, and I think they have seen creatures, right?
They've definitely seen some wildlife. Nothing too big, but they've
Yeah.
definitely seen some wildlife.
But being that this is on a planet that hasn't been scoped out at all by
Mm-hmm.
anyone because they're lost, they've just crashed it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the idea of having a gun, which is the dangerous weapon apart from a bunch of knives, is a very good idea to have.
I do agree. I do agree.
Just why wouldn't you just Judy, there are a bunch of us here. Okay, don't give your brother Will one because he has Spencer, but
Yeah,
the rest
yeah.
of us are gonna need some guns. I'm just saying.
You're at least gonna need a sharpened rock on a stick, like something. And I love her argument of I don't feel comfortable having weapons in the house, and his argument of we're not on the utopia we were supposed to be on.
Yes.
And they're both solid arguments. It's dangerous to have a gun in the house. Everyone knows that. We've all seen the studies and everything. It's also dangerous to be lost on an island, which it's Robinson Crusoe, let's all be honest, and not have a stick on a rock. A rock on a
Yes.
stick. Like, you don't have any defense. Your only defense is a robot that's controlled by an 8-year-old child. Although I think in this episode they say he's 11 officially.
I think he's 11. Yeah, I think he's not supposed to be like 8, but I think that's just me being an asshole.
He looks 8 to me, but I don't know.
He looks young. I'm very terrible with ages, so I don't know why I'm being asked, but he's a small child,
He's a very
and the
small
father's
child.
point on that is very valid. Like,
Yeah, you don't know
we
what's
can't
there.
control this.
And then
Yeah.
not only do you not know what's on the planet, Spencer is hanging around, and he's definitely, if not a weapon in and of himself, because they never saw him as the 4-armed laser shooting robot, he's very strong. And he could easily, crush one of their skulls or melt them with his space heater hand ray or whatever.
Exactly. It's like he's fucking dangerous. I understand why the father is uncomfortable. I also understand why the mother is comfortable because it is literally looking after their kid. Like,
It is.
it's better than TV. They don't need to parent this child.
They don't. He has a robot that, which I do have a comment about that whole thing. At one point, Will starts talking to the robot, and it's literally just him having a one-sided conversation because the robot gives no indication at all that he is listening, understanding, or responding. He'll just be like, "Why did you do this?
Yeah.
You can't do that."
Don't do
Okay? Good. Like, it's just him having a conversation with himself, and it's so frustrating. Because the robot can definitely talk. It says Danger Will Robinson. It says it again in this episode.
Yeah,
Why doesn't
it
he
does.
talk?
Yeah, it's like he must have something. It can't be the only thing he can say.
Right? Because where did he get those 3 words?
Yeah, exactly. And it just, whatever.
Whatever.
So, and yeah, it transpires that the robot has in fact printed a gun.
Yes. Oh my god, that scene. My first and only thought was, oh no, Will's got a fucking gun now.
It's like, why would? Well, apart from the fact that I think they should all have guns apart from Will because I genuinely think he's too young.
Agreed, yeah.
And even then, I'd give him like the sharpened like rock on a stick at least. Although he does have the robot, so whatever.
Oh, the robot gives him a gun,
Yeah.
which I love because the robot gives him a gun because Will's having bad dreams about the robot murdering people. So the robot's thought is, I'll give you a gun
But
to shoot me, I guess.
is that coming from the dreams?
I think
or
it's-
is that coming from his assessment of Dr. Smith?
I see. That's a good
Because
question.
they spend a lot of time psyching each other out in this episode.
They do. I feel like part of it is it's coming from his assessment, his feeling, his connection to Will, and Will's feeling, not necessarily, he's feeling afraid, so the robot
Yeah.
makes a weapon. Because the robot basically is a weapon, and it's like, cool, you're afraid, have a weapon, that'll help. I can fix that, here you go.
Yeah, I can fix the thing. But yeah, that like he I call it he. It's a robot. It's an it. The mum was right. It's an it. We don't know the gender. It's an it. It's a robot.
Yeah, it's a robot.
It's Spencer. So like Spencer and Dr. Smith spend a lot of time looking at each other, like psyching each other out, because like the doctor is clearly trying to learn what she can about everything else that's going around.
Yep.
And as we know, Spencer's only real job in this is to keep Will out of trouble. Or keep him out of the plot. So he needs to assess these dangers, like on a big scale. Like, oh my god, is having a round going to screw the plot? Right, we need to make it feel better.
Yep.
So
yep.
he prints him this gun, and he gives it to the kid. And what I love about this thing, because obviously that is the scene where the robot is not reacting to anything that Will is saying. Just like a little, there's not even like, I think there's a slight like brighter glow in like the headlamp thing.
I think right at the end he has a little glowing A little more
Yeah,
glow on his
a
face.
little more glow.
Yeah.
He's glowing. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the only real reaction that's had in that scene. But what I like is that Will is like, I'm not taking a gun. Don't give me a gun. Like you can't hurt people. If you're gonna stay here, you can't hurt people. That's the rule. You can't hurt people, and I'm not taking that gun.
Yep.
And then the robot stays completely still, and Will takes the gun, and then the robot moves like, I think the robot won that argument. Will still has the gun.
The robot definitely won. And then Dr. Smith does the biggest plot armor thing that ever happens, which is that the creepy, sneaky character is always in an advantageous position to see something they definitely should not see.
Yeah.
Like, she's literally just outside Will's door, just watching him. And I'm like, no one notices this full-grown woman standing there, huh?
Yep, looking into an 11-year-old boy's bedroom.
Man, having doors would be real nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So basically, at the end of the episode, from Dr. Smith's point of view, we see Will put the gun under his bed, under the mattress of his bed.
Yep. In the worst spot too. That's gonna be so uncomfortable to sit on.
Oh yeah, he's not gonna. He's only a little kid though, so maybe you can just like curl up around it.
There you go. Curl around the gun. You'll feel safe.
Yeah. I think the robot would make me feel safe. Fuck the gun.
Right? Hey, Spencer, stand in the doorway and don't let anyone in.
Yeah, that's a good tactic too. So we know that Smith was going to have access to a gun. We know there's a gun on board that nobody except Will, Spencer, and Smith knows about. And yeah, she was just standing there looking at this going on, and boom, the end of the episode.
Yep. Which actually, well, there's one other thing that we didn't talk about. Big spoiler. When they get out of the ice, they get they land somewhere. They get their comms back. The Resolute is still in orbit. They took damage, but they're still up there. And they are sending out a broadcast to all remaining Jupiters. And there's even some Jupiters out there because they hear somebody named Mark from Jupiter 11 or whatever talking. So they know the Resolute's there. They know the captain's alive. They know that they're out there. And they're like, oh, as soon as we get our repairs done, we're going to start sending out... You can go ahead and return if you're capable. And if you're not, just hang tight. As soon as we get repairs done and people who can get here accounted for, we'll come looking for the missing people. Yes. So you just got to chill out and wait, which is great because that means that this family and Dr. Smith, in reality, just need to chill. But
yes,
you can't just chill because we have one more flashback of Dr. Smith. She's in an interrogation room. There's the captain of the Resolute standing over her because they have on camera her putting that guy in the airlock. Or tricking him into her airlock, or whatever you want to call it.
Tripping him, or plotting him in. Yeah.
Something. And killing him. And so they know that she's, not her sister, whose name was Jess, I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember.
I think it was Jess and Jane. Don't quote me on that one. June. Yeah. June, there you go.
June Harris.
It's two J names, which, first of all, let's not do that, everybody.
Yeah. No.
But... They know she's not her sister, and they're like, hey, there's some good news and bad news. The good news, we don't have a system of government or a system of justice, so there's no trials or anything like that. And the bad news is that we don't have a system of justice, so I can do whatever I want to you. But then at that time, a guy runs in, he's like, sir, we're being attacked. And he's like, there's a breach. And he's like, what kind of breach? And you know it's the robot because...
We've seen it.
We've seen it. We've all seen what happens there.
Yeah, it's the linking episode.
Exactly.
The linking flashback. And yeah, so we find out that we know that she's going to be in a whole heap of trouble if she goes back there.
Exactly. So she doesn't want to go back to the Resolute. She knows something bad's going to happen there.
Yeah. So they have that. And they're all very happy and excited, and they all hug each other, and there's like, dancing, and there's no dancing. There's just hugging and looking at each other with meaningful glances of like, yeah, we did a thing. Yeah, this could be okay. So there's that whole shiz going down, which is good. And it means that there is definitely opportunity to find other people that they can come with, other survivors.
Yep.
How it's going to work with the Resolute, I don't know. I'm interested to see.
Yeah, I do want to know what's going to happen there.
I just think it's too much like hey, I think my honest thought about it is either it's going to become one of those things where they go back to the mothership and everything's good and dandy, but there's political stuff going on and then they get to deal with that. Or they're going to be like, this is a haven, and as soon as they have enough fuel to get there, they'll fly it there, and then the Resolute will explode.
Yeah, something's going to happen, and it's going to be terrible, and oh my god, everyone's going to be so sad at the end.
Yeah.
So we've definitely about hit that hour mark. And so let's go through. What are your thoughts on the episode? Like, what's your rating of the episode and the season so far?
Um. Okay, we did this out of 5, right?
We did this out of 5, yes. And last
Out
time
of 5.
you gave it a 2 point
Three and three quarters. I
three
think
and 3/4. That's what it was.
the episode was 3 and 3 quarters. Being that this like flipped on me from being a sci-fi episode to definitely being an action one with like 1,000 B plots, I don't know, partly because I was tired, but it wasn't, apart from Judy and like some odd little things. I don't know. I may have to stick my 3 and 3/4 because it wasn't really a great episode. It was a okay episode.
All right.
There were some amazing bits in there.
Yeah.
What
So, so I am gonna stick with a 3. Like, I don't. I did enjoy this episode a little more than the first episode. Well, a lot more than the first episode. I liked that we finally found out where Dr. Smith came from. I liked that they got out of the ice, so their immediate death countdown timers should all be done. But
It should have reset.
I know when we hit episode 4, it's going to immediately be another death countdown timer. And oh no, everyone hang on. But that being said, I'm going to stick with a 3 because I still enjoy it. It would not be the top of my list again.
Yeah.
And I do have one actual complaint that I feel like, which is that the mom's limp comes and goes in scenes to the point of hilarity if you watch her. There are scenes where she walks out of a room and it's this exaggerated, oh, I can barely move my leg. And then there's scenes where she is hauling ass down a corridor. Just like flat out running. No limp, no signs of discomfort or stress. She's just like, it's fine. I'll just run.
Yeah, I noticed that too, but I played that off as being adrenaline in some situations.
See,
'Cause
I
you
could-
can do a lot on it.
I
But on the
could
same
give
time,
adrenaline.
I know people with knee problems. That doesn't happen.
But also, it's not even just a knee problem. She had her leg sliced open in 4 places to relieve like fluid buildup. Like, you hurt from surgery for a long time.
Yeah.
And yeah, she has this neat little brace that they 3D printed, but that limp comes and goes to the point where it's like, are you limping? Are you not limping? Is it supposed to be super future medicine where you're just like, I'm all good? Or are you still in pain? You really got to pick a side of the road to be on here.
Yeah, it's plot limp.
It really is.
When she needs to limp, it will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I picked that up too, but I was just like, I'm gonna play that off. There are so many more things in this episode that I was just like, oh man.
Like, it was just something I noticed, and I kind of laughed at it because I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for them to have to go on a hike, and she's immediately just gonna be, oh, I can't go on, my leg hurts so much, and it'd be like, 2 seconds later, she'll be running from something.
Yeah, like, oh shit, doing like a running limping thing. So yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna come up again, and it's going to be just so good.
Yeah,
And
I'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, at this point, like, I think Netflix does the thing where if you watch 3 episodes in a row, or are you still watching this thing?
Mm-mm.
So if you were binging like the first 3 episodes to give it a chance, would you click that I'm still watching button?
Yeah, if I was binging it, I'd keep watching. But if I was like watching it, and then somebody was like, "Hey, let's watch, I don't know, a good movie," I'd be like, "Yeah, this can wait."
All right.
If someone was like, "Hey, do you want to watch Thor Ragnarok? It just came out on Netflix. Free plug for Thor Ragnarok." I would be like, "Oh hell yes! Stop this immediately. Let's watch Thor."
Okay, like I think what we need to do, like when we do like these special movie episodes at the end of the series, we need to find a film where we can set the bar. Like, it's not an amazing movie because like Thor Ragnarok, I will watch that over pretty much everything.
Oh yeah, agree.
But if the option was Tremors, or my personal favorite, Sharknado or Shark versus Giant Octopus, I would watch I would burn my eyes out watching that shit again. We need to find that midway film to like just determine whether it's a good thing we'd keep watching or not.
Okay, so we need to find the absolute bar minimum. If you were gonna rate films from a -5 to a +5, the flat 0 right in the middle.
Yeah.
That's gonna take some work. We're gonna have to talk to some people about that.
We're gonna be discussing this for a while. I don't know if anyone has any suggestions.
I mean,
I guess
I've definitely seen movies that at the end I was just kind of like, well, that was a movie. Like, okay. Yeah, I would binge this. I would happily push play if I had nothing else to watch and I had however many free hours this series is.
I think I'd probably hit the continue watching too. Actually,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think I'll give the series a solid 3 stars currently. We make them light bulbs because it's Spark.
Okay, yeah, let's do light bulbs. 3 light bulbs.
3 light bulbs. I'm gonna do a solid like 3 watt light bulb.
It's very dim.
I don't know how light bulbs work.
Just go with it. Whatever.
Whatever. I give it a solid like 3 half decent light bulbs. The 4th one is maybe powering up, but I'm not optimistic there being enough juice for that.
I agree. We'll find out, and we will find out, and we will tell you next Friday. So let's do our fun closing. Valanda, would you like to go to start us?
I'm closing out. Sorry, like you've been cutting up for the last like minute, so I'm guessing what you're saying between breaks.
Great. That makes me concerned that the stream is real choppy. Apparently, my internet connection is garbage. I'm gonna have to restart it.
That's lame. All right. I've been Valanda. You can find me on Twitter at blood_BTP or on the podcast The Lucky Die or on the Scatter It. Woohoo! I'm done. Good night.
And I'm Drew, and I'm from Taking Initiative, and you can find me on Twitter at NotThatDrew. You can also find me on the Discord or, a bunch of other places at this moment. And we will see you next Friday for episode 4. You can watch episode 3 on YouTube or hear it as a podcast next Friday. And if you're a patron of TI for $5 or more, come back at 11 o'clock I'll send out the thing because it's a private stream, but we'll be live recording the next Meanwhile game, and it will have Valanda in it, so get ready for that.
I am psyched.
She's coming back. But that'll be our stream for the night. Thank you for joining us, and we will see all of you next Friday. Have a good night.